In the last section, we put together a little program that declared an English bot and a Spanish bot. We then declared two separate print greeting functions. They each expected to be called with a different type, so one with an English bot and the other with a Spanish bot. But then the actual implementation or the code inside each of those functions appeared to be really similar in nature. The only difference between them, as a matter of fact, was the fact that they had a different argument type. And so to me, I really get the feeling that it would be nice to somehow reuse this function for both of the different types. So we're now going to do a little bit of a refactor to this file to make use of interfaces to reduce these two separate print greeting functions down into just one. So we're going to approach this by just doing the refactor straight out. So we're just going to do the entire refactor. It's only going to be a couple of lines. And then we'll sit down and talk about exactly what changes we made to the program. So let's get to it. We're just going to go right through the refactor right away. I'm going to first start off by finding both of our print greeting functions. So here's the two of them right here. I'm going to highlight both of them and just delete them entirely. Next, I'm going to find the print greeting call where we commented out with the Spanish bot right here, and I'm going to uncomment this line. Okay, so now back to kind of like square one here. So now at this point, we're going to start adding some new code. Here's where the new stuff is going to come in. I'm going to scroll up to the top of the file, and right above our two existing type declarations, I'm going to add a third type. So right above those two, I'm going to say type bot is going to be an interface. I'll then place two curly braces. I'm going to say get greeting. I'll put down my parentheses like so, and then I'm going to put down this string type. So take special note of this thing. We've got get greeting and then parentheses and then the word string. So there's no commas in here, no colons, nothing like that. Now one more change. Underneath our main function, I'm going to redeclare that print greeting function that we just deleted. So this time we're going to say func print greeting. This is going to be called with a value that we'll call b and a type of bot. And then inside the function body, we'll call format.println and we'll call b.getGreeting. And we'll make sure that we put down some parentheses right after the getGreeting function. Okay, so now without saying a single word about what's going on inside this file, I'm going to save it. I'm going to scroll up to the top. I'm going to make sure I don't have any errors, so no red squigglies anywhere. I'll go down to the bottom. Yep, looks like we're all good to go. So I'm now going to flip over to the terminal and run the program and just make sure that it actually runs the way we expect. So I'll change on over to my terminal. I'm going to change into my interfaces directory. So that's where we just created this new project. And then I'm going to run that main.go file. So we'll say go run main.go. And then when I do so, you'll see the text, hi there, and hola appear on the screen. So it definitely appears like we were able to condense down the print greeting function to just one single implementation. So that's pretty much it for the refactor. Not that bad. So let's now take a look at a couple diagrams that are going to help us understand exactly what this interface thing is. Okay, so this first diagram is going to be a little bit crazy, but don't worry, we'll go through it step by step. So we're going to first start off on the left-hand side. And so on the left-hand side, I only mean to say here with these two big boxes that our program still has a type of English bot inside of it, and it still has a type of Spanish bot. And then each of them has their own respective implementation of the getGreeting function. So they both have a function called getGreeting. Now the new stuff is here on the right-hand side, and this big green box is meant to represent this new type bot interface statement that we just added. Now, I know it's really annoying when people like read text directly off a slide. I know it's annoying. I personally don't like it. Nonetheless, I really like the text here, so I'm going to read it off to you, and don't worry, I'll add in a lot of extra dialogue so it's not just me reading stuff off the slide directly. Okay, so inside of our code file, let's first start off with this line right here where we said type bot interface. So this line of code right here can be interpreted as essentially saying, hey, everyone inside of this program, all of you different types out there, all of you different types like English bot and Spanish bot, to all of you, to whom it may concern, our program now has a new type, a third custom type called bot. So we have a new custom type called bot right here. Now there's nothing special about the name bot. I only use the name bot to kind of implement or kind of give you the idea of a more kind of generic approach to an English bot or Spanish bot. So you can kind of imagine we are defining some behaviors right here that are common to all different bots that we might have. So if we also had a Russian bot, French bot, Italian bot, and so on, they all kind of share the same implementation from this type base bot right here. So to all these custom types, just know, to whom it may concern, there's a new custom type called bot. And then inside the definition of this custom type, we said, if you are a type in this program with a function called getGreeting, and you return a type of string, then you are now also an honorary member of type bot. And so we go and look at English bot, we look at Spanish bot, and both of them have a function called getGreeting, and they both return a string. So that's what this block inside the interface statement right here is doing. It says, if there is any other type inside of our program that has a function called getGreeting associated with it that returns a string, then that type is also an honorary, kind of like promoted automatically to also being something of type bot. So we can now imagine that English bot and Spanish bot are now also of type bot. So now let's keep on going here. Now the last step here is to say, now that you, Spanish bot and English bot, now that you are an honorary member of type bot, you can now also call this function called printGreeting. And so that was the last thing we put together. We put together the new function called printGreeting that accepted something of type bot. So in total, and hopefully this is starting to make a little bit of sense here, because we said that any type inside of our program that implements a function called getGreeting that returns a string, and that's true of both English bot and Spanish bots, and we did that right here. So here's getGreeting, and they both return a string. Both of those bots, both English and Spanish bot, are now honorary members, or just kind of like promoted automatically. They are now included as type bot. And so now any value of type English bot or Spanish bot, we can now take those values and pass them off to functions of type bot as well. And so that's exactly what happened here when we called printGreeting. PrintGreeting says very clearly, hey, I only accept values of type bot. Now we passed in English bot and Spanish bot to them, but English bot and Spanish bot are also honorary or kind of like pretend members of type bot. And so Go said, oh, you're passing in an English bot. Well, English bot satisfies the bot interface. So you know what? Even though it's a different type, no problem, come on in. And so English bot was accepted into printGreeting with no issue. And the same thing with Spanish bot as well. Okay, so that's kind of like iteration number one, pass-through number one, description number one of what this interface did for us. We use interfaces to define a method set or a function set right here. We're kind of defining what something of type bot, what different functions and return types it should have. By defining this interface, we are allowing Go to say, hey, well, anything that kind of matches this description right here is now of type bot. And so we can then use those other types in any other location where we expect to see a type of bot. So again, that's kind of pass-through or description explanation number one. Now this is a really complicated topic, so let's take a quick break and we're going to take another look at this entire interface system again. And still the same program, so still the same code, but we're going to take another look at it from a slightly different angle, just to make sure that you really get a good sense of what's going on. So let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and continue talking about interfaces in the next section.